What's up, you guys? Today I'm gonna show you my favorite white bass, sand bass jigs. Okay, and I've been fishing this pretty much exclusively for the last 3 years, ever since I've discovered these. A lot of people will say you need the tubes, which work really well, and a lot of people will say you need a almost like a bucktail type of lure, like this one, which works pretty good too. But everybody kind of has like their own opinions and things like that when it comes to fishing. So I'm just gonna show you mine and take it or leave it, and maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you're not. So let's cover a couple of little things before I really get into what I trying to explain what's going on. Okay, so when I first started fishing sand bass and crappie and things like that, I've always gone with this one because this is a very popular choice. You see these all over the bait shops and everywhere. It's basically a 1/4 ounce head, your choice of colors, and sometimes even a white body and basically feathers in the back. And this is the one where it's actually tied and it's got feathers, real feathers. But you can also find the ones that's got like a plastic body, and the feathers are, instead of feathers, they have basically skirts of strands of plastic. That's also a good choice. Now, I've fished those for a long time and they've always worked, but in the last couple of years I found these, and they, in my opinion and from my experience, they've worked better. Okay, so what I'm talking about is this pack right here. It's from the Lucky Strike brand, the Swimmin' Minnow. It's a tournament pack, and these are, let's see, I believe these are the 2-inch ones.
Alright, so I was just talking
and this is how I rig them. I even have them like this. This is rigged with a 1/4 ounce, and this is rigged with the 1/8 ounce. And these are my two favorite colors. It's the one with the, I don't even know what the official color is. Oh, Stern Light is the one that's a little green, and I believe the top one's called the Fireworks. And as you can see, there it is, the Fireworks and the Stern Light. Okay, so, and this is the way I rig them too. There's a special reason why I rig them this way, and just kind of demonstrate. Well, actually, let's cover the other one too. This is the other one that I like. This is the 3-inch grub, the swimming grub from Bass Pro Shops. This is the tournament series. This is the bluegill color, and a friend of mine actually told me about this one. He actually uses it for bass fishing, but I've also discovered that it works really well for sand bass. And I usually fish these in running water, like running streams at dams, things like that. I fish them at a minimum of the 1/8 ounce, and then if the water's really high, or if I find the fish is really down low, I switch it up to the 1/4 ounce. And sometimes I even tie two of them together, and I'll show you that one in a little bit too. But anyways, this is the bluegill color grub from Bass Pro Shops tournament series. It's got a really good color in it, as you can see. It just really resembles a little fish. And this jig head, I can't remember what brand it was from. I believe it was Lucky Strike as well, but I could be wrong. I'll try to annotate if Lucky E Strike if I'm wrong. Okay, so how you rig this? Let me get a new one so I can rig for you guys. So if it's a black body, okay, just kind of rules of thumbs for me, right? If it's a black body, go with a dark head too. Don't go with a bright head. For some reason, it just doesn't work that well. But if you have a light body, go with a bright head. All right. This is how it works. This is how it works. Okay, so the way I rig up my jigs is, okay, if you hold it like this in your palm, do not rig it like this. Okay, you don't want the hook sticking up this way, because if you do that, let me put this behind it. When you're retrieving it through the water, this curly tail will come back and it'll get caught up on that. So you always want to hook it up this way, like in reverse, just like that, in reverse. See that? Hook it up in reverse, and pay attention to the barb. These are just like really fine tips I've discovered for myself over the years. If the barb's on this side, you want to give it meat or enough material for the barb to hook onto the body. So you don't want like this to be on like way over here. And even in the middle, I think it's still not enough. I tend to move a little off to the side, like that. So when you hook it through, hook it like this. Instead of the middle, over a little, like almost a quarter of the way over, all the way down, they come out like this. Okay, now understand that sometimes this barb will be on this side. If it's on this side, do the exact same thing, but go from the opposite side. So if the barb's on the left, go with the penetration from the right. If the barb's on the right, penetration's from the left. Okay, and try to keep that barb as on the side with the most meat as possible. So let me just do it for you quickly. So you like this. As you can see, the center is right here, but I want to go a little bit off center. Okay, so about a quarter way, like right there. And just go right down the end. And I usually like to go all the way, almost all the way to the end right there. So to like the last rib, just like that. When you hook it up, as you can see right here, okay, you're gonna have a lot of meat for this little hook right here to grab onto. Okay, so that way when the fish bites it, it tends to not come off as easily. Okay, so that's a big tip that I had to discover for myself. A lot of people didn't tell me that. So you put this right on. You can see it's right there, nicely rigged, just like that. See, it doesn't really matter on top because there's no hooking portion or retention barb on the top. So what you want is just a retention barb on the bottom. And I hook them like this. So when the fish actually hits it, if the fish will hit it like this, and it'll miss the hook entirely, you have more meat on the bottom to grab onto, so this skirt doesn't slide all the way off. Or in most cases, some of the fish actually tear the skirt right off. Okay, so it's a good tip for me. I had to learn that for the last couple of years. And once I got it, it actually works out pretty good. Now the other thing is, I know the hook. Well, this eye is not, it's not hollowed out yet. But take a hook and just poke it, and that's one thing that is done really easily. Just poke it with another hook, and there you go. Pops right on the other side. Clean it. Make sure it's legitly good to go. And that's something that a lot of people don't know either. So get a bigger hook, okay, or even the same size hook. Just do that, kind of hollow it out. Clean it off with the fingertips. There you go. Yep, there you go. It's done. Ready to go. Okay, the other thing is, this is something that I found out kind of by accident, but ever since I found out about it, I've always been doing this. Okay, so if you look at this lure, this hook, this point is pointing straight, parallel with the body of the lure. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing is when you set the hook on the fish, this will tend to hit the fish's mouth pretty well, or it's the top side of the mouth. Upper side of the inside of the mouth very, very well. But on the flip side, if you're jigging running water, it's going to snag a lot. And when it snags, if your hook is perfectly straight on a rock, like pushing like this, and you're trying to whiplash the line, and you're cussing and hollering and all types of shit, it's not going to come off. Okay, so what I found is if you actually take this, okay, take it and just bend it. Okay, bend it a little bit more. You see that now? Okay, so before and after, it's a little off center now. Okay, it's a little off center now. If you do this, it will come off the rocks a lot easier. Okay, so you see it's not perfectly straight anymore. It's a little angled up, maybe 30 degrees. It's definitely not 45. More like a 30, maybe 20, 25 degrees. Okay, angle that up a little bit, because when you get hung on the rock and you start twitching on it, this hook actually helps you out. Like, it'll wiggle with you. Well, let me do this side. It'll wiggle, okay? It's almost got like a spring tension on it now. As before, it had no spring effect. Because if you're now like a little off, it'll, if you hook up on a rock, you're not directly in the rock, you're a little sideways the rock. So when you're pulling on it, you got a little more wiggle room on the hook. So it actually come off the rocks a lot more often than not doing it. And by doing so, I've actually, saved some money. But the downside is you won't get that super strong hookup on the fish. So the side effect is you're gonna have to fight the fish longer, and you have to give them more leeway, meaning adjust your drag on your reel a little softer, okay? Because now you don't have that super strong hook on your side no more, because it's a little bent. But that's the trade-off, okay? For you to not lose as many lures, you have to be willing to fight the fish a little bit longer. Now, obviously, this is just a trick for just small fish. It'll work on anything that is less than 17 inches. If you're going for things that are bigger than that, I do not recommend this trick, okay? Because you're gonna kick yourself in the ass, and you're gonna hate yourself for losing a big fish. Because I've actually done that before, where if you bend this up and you lose a big fish, in my case, I lose it on purpose. Because of an illegal snag or whatnot. If you hold your line or you hold the reel tight, you tighten up the drag, this will bend out. Okay, it will bend out. Even on 6-pound tests, that's what I use. It'll bend out, and it's not pretty. Okay, it's not a good story. Okay, so that story for the jigs. Okay, that's a standard jig. Now on this setup, I'm gonna get a lot of answers or a lot of questions already. I already know, so I'm gonna address it now. How come you don't hook it up like this? Okay, this is like the conventional way of the conventional way of hooking up these jig heads. So this is actually what I've been doing for a long time. Just like this, just like that. Well, not the best one. There we go. Just like that, right? Why am I not doing this, right? Where you have the jig head here and the fish actually sits like that. Okay, the fish actually sits, in theory, at least in my mind, the way it's supposed to, right? Look at this. Look at this setup. And this is kind of the setup that everybody believes in too, compared to this setup. Right? You guys see the difference? Okay, so, do that again. Okay, so this setup, this is like how I started fishing it. Hook barb through the top of the jig, and then this other one, hook barb through the center or the side of the jig. So if I was going to hold that jig the same way as the other one, so if I was going to hold it this way, okay, see that? Y'all see that? This one goes through the top, and this one goes through the side of the jig. This one goes through the top of the jig. So this is actually side view of what I'm talking about, but see, like that. That's the top, and that's the top. Okay, so maybe more like that. So top view and side view. See that? See that? Okay. Like that. Okay, so the reason why I've been doing that, I've lost a lot of fish this way, wiring it up this way. Because if you look at the gap between the hook here, it's not that much of a gap, right? It's not that much of a gap. Plus there's a fin in the way. It's not that cool. But if you look at this one, yeah, see that? Now that's what I'm talking about. There's a big gap between the hook and the body of the fish. That's a big bonus for me. Okay, so you want the bigger gap, the better, in my opinion. All right, people might disagree with me, people might not. The other thing is, if the fish is below, looking up, okay, you get this small profile body right there, right? Because if you look at this one, look at that profile body. It's a much bigger profile of a body. And as a tail is wiggling around like that, the fish from underneath, they'll see it. It's a bigger lure. I guess it's the same size, but it's a trick to make it look like it's a lot bigger. Okay, so most of the fish, I think, will strike from the bottom or from the behind. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just one of the things I found out that you can do. But this is the best. This is the best jig I've found out there, and I'm a big fan of the curly tails, just because no matter if you're running it really fast, really slow, this tail is always really attractive. It's really active, and I think that's what draws in a lot of the fish. Versus the other one, the tube style. Once this is in the water, it hardly moves, especially in running water. At least this is what I've seen. Okay, the tail will be bunched up like that. Tail's bunched up. It's not going to move very often. It's really bunched up. It's not nice and fluffy like this. It's really bunched up, so it's more like this, and it just kind of darts around. Not as much action as a curly tail. So I'm a big curly tail fan when it comes to white bass and sand bass fishing. Even walleye. I've caught walleye on this rig quite a bit, drifting in running water. So that's my setup. Now the other setup I have is this one, and I rig it up like that as well. It's always rigged like this. And the other thing is, okay, if you haven't caught on yet, if you are fishing on the bottom, it tends to stand up, whereas this one tends to fall to the side. Okay, so if you're fishing the bottom, you need the hook to be up, not on the side. Okay, so let me see. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. Okay, so this is on this. This is gonna more than likely sit or stand like that. That's with no line tension. Okay, so if you have line tension, it might still stand up, but otherwise it'll fall over. Just little small tips here and there to help everybody out. But that's just on this jig only, though. If it's on the conventional jig, it doesn't really do any help. Okay, so where can you buy these? Well, obviously the Bass Pro one, you have to get it from Bass Pro. The jig heads, actually bought them from Dick's Sporting. No, it's not Dick's Sporting. It's Academy Sports and Outdoors. But I'm pretty sure you can pick them up just about anywhere. Any conventional jig head will do. You don't have to get the super strong ones if you don't want to. I actually prefer the weaker ones because I can get them off the rocks a lot easier. And that's just kind of me. I've fished them with pink heads. I also like fishing them with a discolored head, okay, like a white, like that, a white and red mix. Now, I know another fisher buddy of mine, he actually prefers the orange and pink head, or even if you go all black with a gold eyelet, that's also a good color too. Like this color. There you go, like that. That's also a good jig head to go with for a black body, of course. For a black body like that, good jig head to go with. Another good combo that I found was this one, the green. I really like the green on a black body. Green color on a black body is really good. Obviously these are not the right sizes. I fish other ones too. Actually, I have this size in the 1.5, the 2.5. No, the 1.5, the 2, and the 3. So if it's a 1.5, I usually switch it down to like a 1/16 head, and that seems to work out pretty well in my neck. Okay, so now I'd like to. And why would I want to switch from like a 1/4 ounce to the 1/8 ounce to the 1/4 ounce, right? Well, the only time I really do it is when I notice that there's a lot of fish hitting, but I have to go down really deep before they hit, especially on a running river. You have to throw, say, 30 feet upstream just to get a hit right in front of you. That's when you know the water is running too fast. So that's when you want to step it up to a bigger jig head. Make sure it's the same color. Now, if it's already hitting on a certain color, you don't want to change that. Because if you go from like the Firecracker Works to the greener one, greenish color, it might not make big difference. It might, kill fishing for the day. So be sure to, if you figure out a pattern, stick to that pattern. And this pattern has been pretty good on me. For me, I use it all the time, even in the early seasons, all the way down to late fall, I guess. Fished at Keystone, it always hits good. Fished it at Aluga, fished it at Kerr Dam, fished it just about every dam I go to. This is my go-to jig head or jig head style right now, and so is this one. So I have two very different style of jigs here that work very well for me. Now you're welcome to try it as well and take my tips and tricks, and maybe it'll help you guys out. it still stays on the line.
Is
So
that Takahiro?
that's happened with stripers. My
That is
experience,
Takahiro. He's
where
got, you
one
got
has caught, say, this
you got a
line,
motorhome.
this one, and it's pulling, and while it's running, it's got its buddies
And
that
you
are
got a
following
badass
it,
bass
and
boat
its
on the
buddy
back.
will grab this one. And at that point, you're like,